Former U.S. President and Nobel Peace Prize winner Jimmy Carter has died at the age of 100. He served as the 39th President of the United States. Carter's death was also announced by Carter Center on X, posting, "Our founder, former U.S. President Jimmy Carter, passed away this afternoon in Plains, Georgia."
I, Jimmy Carter, do solemnly swear
I, Jimmy Carter, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
the office of President of the United States.
From his inauguration there, Jimmy Carter was the oldest living former president and the first American president to have lived a full century. A peanut farmer and naval engineer, Jimmy Carter went on to serve as President of the United States from 1977 to 1981. After leaving office, he continued a life of public service, working for Habitat for Humanity, building homes for those in need. His wife and former First Lady Rosalind Carter died in November of 2023 after a battle with dementia. Carter and his wife are survived by their 4 children. ABC's Karen Travers has more.
When Americans elected Jimmy Carter the 39th President of the United States, it was a vote for something new.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
James Earl Carter was born in Plains, Georgia, October 1st, 1924. In 1946, he graduated near the top of his class at the U.S. Naval Academy, married Rosalind Smith, and served in the nation's developing nuclear submarine program. He returned to Georgia to run the family business, a peanut farm, and launched a political career that took him from the local school board to the governor's mansion.
I, Jimmy Carter, do solemnly swear.
Then, in 1976,
My name is Jimmy Carter, and I'm running for president.
Carter defeated Gerald Ford in a race for the Oval Office. Carter's single term was marked by a lagging economy and a nationwide energy shortage. Inflation climbed to 15% in 1980, and Carter's approval rating plunged. He blamed the nation's problems on what he called a malaise in the American spirit.
It is a crisis that strikes at the very heart and soul and spirit of our national will.
Internationally, President Carter was influential in efforts to make peace in the Middle East, encouraging a treaty between Israel and Egypt with the Camp David Accords. But the event that seemed to doom his presidency was the taking of 52 American hostages at the U.S. Embassy in Iran. They were held for 444 days, released just hours after Carter left office. Yet Carter launched a post-presidency that many would consider more productive than his 4 years in office. In 1981, he established the Carter Center, sponsoring programs to promote human rights in the Third World and monitoring elections in developing democracies. The former president and his wife volunteered their time and energy building low-income housing for Habitat for Humanity. In 1997, Carter was asked about his legacy.
But I would hope that 50 years from now, whatever, that people would associate the words peace and human rights with my name.
It was this work that in 1999 earned him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and in 2002, the Nobel Peace Prize, leaving many Americans remembering him best for his achievements after the White House. Karen Travers, ABC News.
Former President Jimmy Carter's political career had a few twists and turns thanks to California. First, in the 1976 presidential campaign, when he overwhelmingly defeated then California Governor Jerry Brown for the Democratic Party nomination. Then, in his re-election campaign in 1980, California came for Carter again. Brown entered the race a second time, but both men ultimately lost the presidency to another Californian, Ronald Reagan. Carter's relationship with California was mixed, recognizing the state as innovative but also threatening to traditions. On environmental issues, Carter and California shared common cause. Several of our nation's leaders have expressed their condolences to the Carter family. President Biden said in part, quote, "Today America and the world lost an extraordinary leader, statesman, and humanitarian. Over 6 decades, we had the honor of calling Jimmy Carter a dear friend. But what's extraordinary about Jimmy Carter, though, is that millions of people throughout America and the world who never met him thought of him as a dear friend as well." President-elect Donald Trump saying in part, quote, "The challenges Jimmy faced as president came at a pivotal time for our country, and he did everything in his power to improve the lives of all Americans. For that, we all owe him a debt of gratitude." Melania and I are thinking warmly of the Carter family and their loved ones during this difficult time. Governor Gavin Newsom, in a statement, said in part, quote, "A tireless champion for human rights and democracy whose unparalleled life of service made the world a better place. President Carter was a man of rare character whose beliefs ran true and ran deep, whose moral compass never wavered." And the flag on the White House is now being flown at half-mast. The Carter Center says there will be public observances in Atlanta and Washington, D.C., followed by a private interment in Plains, Georgia. The final arrangements for President Carter's state funeral, including all public events and motorcade routes, are still pending. Our coverage does not end here. We have much more on Jimmy Carter's impact and legacy on our ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. Carter often taught Sunday school at his church in Plains, Georgia, and at 7 p.m. on ABC 10 Plus, we have a special look inside one of his Sunday school lessons. The app is free and available on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and wherever you stream.